Hey guys, welcome back to another USA Railfan Productions, and I'm finally able to bring you guys another Modeling Mondays video. And today, I've got a special review for you that I've been anticipating for quite a while. My first MTH engine finally came, and I'm very excited to open it up and show you guys what it's all about. So as you can see here, MTH, made in China of course, and I've got an HO SD70ACe lowercase e. And I ordered the CSX paint scheme, and I bought the engine from Trainland in Brooklyn, New York. So we're just going to go right ahead, and I'm going to start opening it up with the razor blade here. And then we'll get a better look as to what's inside. Now, some of you might know that the MTH diesels often are equipped with smoke. This one was not specified on the Trainland website if this engine has a smoke unit or not, but we will find out. It's a rather large box, and let's go ahead and take it out. Alright, so here it is. We've got a nice looking box. We even got some stuff that Trainland gives you, a catalog and just a little sales, email sales, and then lots of packing peanuts, and we'll just set that aside on the floor for now. So we'll take a look. Trainland, if that's where you order it, you get this email sales. I guess if you sign up with an email, you get more savings. Also, a shout out to Trainland. They're a really, really good website. I know in recent videos, I've mentioned Silver City Hobby. But I have found a cheaper place, which is Trainland. And they are certainly cheaper than Silver City Hobby. So if you are looking for even better deals, you might want to go to Trainland, and their website is on the screen right now, and the link is in the description. So as we can see here, SD70 diesel engine, comfort cab, CSX number 4845. And we'll just take a look and open it up. And I can already see the lettering, caution, and I'm sure that means there's not a smoke unit, because I've seen reviews of these before. And I'll just open it up if I can in just 1 second. Okay, so now that I got one end of the box open, we can move the flaps out of the way, and we'll start to slide the new addition to my layout out of its box. Oh, and of course there's even more stuff that makes it tough to get out of the box. Some of you might hate me for doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and go like that to get the engine out. And yes, I'm aware that's not the most safe way to get the engine out. Now I can tell we've got some documentation too. And yes, caution, this engine does not have a smoke unit. So, we've got some advertisement for the DCS, which is the best thing for MTH engines. However, I have a Digitrack system, so we'll have to make do with that. I just dropped all the papers, but some of you might know DCS is really the only way to get the entire 30-some functions that come with MTH engines. On my Digitrax controller, I only have 9 functions, which is the basic horn, bell, headlights, and startups, and that stuff. But other than that, you'll have to get the DCS, which has pretty much all the functions for any MTH engine. I'm just going to go ahead and set the papers aside also. So just give me 1 moment. Now, we do have a manual that is important that we should probably take a look at. If I can get that out of the wrapping there. Alright. So first of all, we've got an MTH warranty registration card, and it's got more details on the back. Limited 1-year warranty, and you guys can take a look at that when you get your engine. I would read it, but it looks like it's going to take an awfully long time to read all of that little fine print. So we've got some more stuff about engines. We've got a little manual here. HO diesel engine quick start manual. Now the one thing I really need is a list of all the functions. But however, it does say before you begin, this manual includes general guidelines and instruction for beginning your MTH experience. To download the instruction manual, and quite a bit of stuff that is probably pretty basic to a model railroader. So I don't think I'm going to take the time to read through all of that. Now, let's see. Here, there is a specific SD70ACe diagram, and I'm just going to take a look at that. It says manual volume control, actually, so I guess I won't take a look at that. I don't think that's too important. Unless, of course, this engine is unbearably loud, I don't think I'm going to be changing the volume for a little while. And there is no really list of the functions. So, we'll just see, perhaps it's in with the engine itself. It doesn't seem that there is. Once again, you guys might hate me for the way I hold this, but I'm just holding it so you guys can see it. I'm trying to be careful also, but this is just how I'm going to hold the model for now. So we've got this nice looking clear window that should come off. Oh no, well, it appears you've got to remove a couple pieces of tape. So to do that, I'm just going to slip my razor blade in there and cut around the edges. It looks like it's more than a few pieces, so I'll be back in just one moment. Okay, so now that we've removed the plastic window here, we're going to start to officially take the engine out of its box. And just one thing before we start unboxing the engine. Today I am short on time, so this is going to be a pretty general review. I might possibly go back tomorrow and add in a few clips for more detail. But other than that, we are pretty limited on time today. So once again, this will be pretty general. Now, also you've got these two holes in the back of the box, which you stick your fingers in, and don't worry, I'm securing it in the back too. Which you stick your fingers in to simply slide the engine out. Now for me, it will be easy to hold it where you guys can't really see it, but it's easiest for me to unbox it that way. Now you've got a few little pieces of foam, which you can see I'm placing on the layout, but just slip those out and try to take your engine out. I've got to say, MTH does a pretty good job with boxing and security. So, it might be easiest to take the little, just turn it over and push it out, I think will be the easiest way to get your locomotive out. Now there's a lot in here, like little pieces too. I see there's the snowplow in there. I heard in another review that the snowplow comes separate, which is in this package here, and we'll apply that separately a little bit later. But first we got to get the engine out, which doesn't seem to be very easy. Maybe I've got to do something with this. I'll be right back in one moment, and I'll have the engine out by then, but compliments to MTH, you've done a great job of boxing the engine. However, it's not exactly easy to unbox your locomotive, so I'll be back in one moment after I've unboxed it. Alright, I've finally gotten it out of its box, and I figured out the simplest thing to do. You'll get this little box here that rests under the fuel tank, which has label caution, this engine does not have a smoke unit, or blank, which would signify it does have a smoke unit. I simply took this out, and the engine came out with ease. So, if you get the SD70ACe model, this is probably how it will be boxed. I would just take this out and, put it back in the box when you're putting your engine back in its carrying stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slip everything back together so that we've got more space so I can show you guys the engine. And there is no excuse me, there is no like manual for the functions. I did read on Trainland a few of the functions, so we'll go ahead and get into those once I finally get the engine on the track. Now, as you can also see, you've got a plastic wrapping around the entire engine. And then you've got handrail protectors. So this engine is definitely secure, I must say. You got a lot of protection on the locomotive, a lot of it. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little tool so I can get all the handrails out. It is very well packaged. And then of course try to remember where all the pieces of foam go, because I'm sure it's not going to be too easy to remember. There we go. And then I think there's just a few more pieces. Let's see what we got on the other side. Well, on the front we got that one piece of foam protecting those handrails. Now, I've bought engines with handrail protection before, but never like this. So once again, more compliments to MTH, because, you know, you guys can probably tell I've never gotten an MTH engine before, which I haven't. But, I have gotten rolling stock from them. But anyway, we finally removed everything pretty much from the engine, and it's ready to put on the tracks. Now, before we do that, I'm going to just give you guys a closer look at the detail on the engine. Not the Conrail one, of course, and there we go. So we've got our CSX locomotive here on the plastic wrap. I'm just going to move that out of the way. There we go. Alright, so we've got a lot of nice little details here, which will probably be better seen when the locomotive is on the track. But we've got CSX, which is the right color, pretty good color. We've got the horn above that, which I'm not sure what type of horn that is. I've only seen one SD70ACe lowercase e on CSX, and I've only heard the horn on one engine, so I don't really know what type of horn it is. We've got 4845, and underneath that is the lightning bolt, which personally for me, that lightning bolt is a little bit too bright. You guys can probably tell that's a different shade of yellow, and prototypically the road number and the lightning bolt are the same shade of yellow. In this case, it is not, which I am surprised by MTH. And I've heard that you can see wires if you take a look, and that is true. So that's one thing. But you've got good, really sturdy handrails. I'm surprised there's all that protection on the handrails, because I'm going around and giving them little pressure, and they're pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and kind of turn the engine a little bit. So there's a front view of the engine. You guys can still kind of see some of the side too. And we've got CSX, which I never really noticed how small that is, but it is smaller than on regular CSX engines. And we've got pretty sure that's the GPS dome on top of the cab. And we've got the sand domes on each end. Sand dome there and there. The two ditch lights. From another review I saw, one of the ditch lights was out of place, and they mentioned if your ditch light is out of place, it is easy to get the ditch light back in place. So anyway, we'll take a look at the other side of the engine, which actually is different. because there's not that section here which is present on the other side. So pretty much the same on both sides. And unfortunately there aren't too many rivets on this engine. And in previous reviews you would know I like my rivets because they're that little detail, but they do add quite a bit. But this is a diesel, so there aren't too many rivets on those. We got some foam on the locomotive. There. Now we'll take a look at the roof, and I won't damage the handrails. Now the radiators, you might notice that some are black. Just gonna slide it over a little. 2 are black, and the back one is silver. I've never seen the roof of an ACE, but I'm pretty sure that's not prototypical. But I'll take a look at some pictures later, and I'll decide how good this engine really is. So we'll take a quick look at the back, and then we'll put it on the track. So the back, there's not too much. You got the road number up top, CSX under the headlight, and there are no ditch lights in the back. And it already looks like one of my handrails is a bit messed up. So I'll go ahead and adjust the handrail, and I'll be right back. Well, I figured out the problem. I actually broke the handrail while I was removing the foam. There's a little break in the handrails right there. But of course this will be hooked up to another CSX engine, so you won't really notice. Now we're going to go ahead, and I won't break any more handrails, and we'll put her on the track and apply track power. So here we go. Let's see, all the wheels seem to be on the track. And I probably need to zoom out a little. Yeah. There we go. So now you guys can see it better. And it's address 3. And I'm pretty sure that there's a startup sequence. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, we're not... There we go. I'm trying to find out where the mute button is. I can't find the sound mute button, and I can't manage to turn the bell off. I'll be back in one moment. Alright, so I've got the official list here on my phone of the sound functions on the MTH website. And there actually is no mute button unless it's F7, which is sound volume, but I'll see in one moment. So we're going to go ahead and apply track power, and it says here F3 is the startup. Now for some reason the bell is going off and I can't seem to turn it off. There we go. Now we should need to turn the headlights on. F0. And it says here, F8 is the ditch lights. Now there are no ditch lights on mine, I guess, which is alright. So we'll go ahead and we'll start up. That was supposed to be sound volume, but I can't seem to change it. So we'll go ahead and we'll hook up to a couple cars. Alright, so that was some of the radio chat, which just goes off automatically, but that's a really nice detail that MTH added. And here it says that F4 is the rear coupler, and the couplers are in fact automatic. So if we push 5, the front coupler should move, or do something at least. We'll go ahead and move the locomotive and see what happens. I'm still getting used to the MTH programming. It's a little bit different than most engines. I can't seem to turn the bell off, so I'm just going to do something here. There, that seemed to work. Alright, so I'm just going to do a run through the sounds, if I can do that successfully without having the bell going off the entire time. So we'll just back up the locomotive. It seems to have shut down on me because I did push the shutdown button, and now I can't seem to do anything, so I think it did shut down. I guess now it shut down. So we'll go ahead and start the engine back up, and like I said, MTH is a little funky with how their sounds all work. So we'll go ahead and start the engine back up. And we've derailed. Alright, now for a run through of all the sounds. F0 is the headlight on and off. F1 is the bell. F2 is the horn. F3 is the startup and shutdown, which you've already heard. And F4 is the rear coupler, which doesn't seem to work, but we'll try it again. I'm I'm not sure how the rear couplers work. I'll take a look at it later. And now the bell is stuck again. Alright, so I just turned off the track power to make things easier. You guys can probably tell I'm having a bit of a hard time with this locomotive. If you guys could let me know, how the couplers work, because I know 4 and 5 are the two couplers, and I know they automatically unhook, and like I noticed when I push F4, the bell goes off and there's radio chat like okay to back up, and then something goes on. I can't really do anything after I push F4. If you could let me know in the comments below, I would appreciate that. So we will start up from where we were. We'll jump ahead to function 6 because that is not one of the couplers. So we'll have to start the engine back up again. So I found out that F6 is actually the mute button. F6 is mute. And F7 is the sound volume, which doesn't seem to be working. And F8, the ditch lights, does also not seem to be working. I'll have to take a look at the front and see if the ditch lights work or not. And F9, my controller's last function is the forward signal. So here's F9. If we can get the sound back on. And F9 doesn't seem to want to work. So there will be a few running shots at the end of the video, and for some reason my engine has gotten very quiet. I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe sound volume is finally working, I'm not sure. I have no idea what's going on, but hopefully this might work. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys something, and this might work. Alright, so now we are in my room, and we've got my Conrail engine here, which you can also, which you can just ignore, and also the elephant in the background. We just store that in my room for whenever we have younger guests over. So you can ignore the Conrail and ignore the elephant. So you can probably notice also, we've got my CSX engine, and we've got the Broadway Limited address changer, which I have had for a few months. And I'm going to show you guys how it works, and I'm going to reprogram my new engine. So first, you need to unbox the address changer, which is probably pretty obvious, but I thought I would just point that out. And I'm also chewing gum, so you might hear me chomping away on my gum here. So now we've got the address changer and its plug, and that's really all you'll get. You'll get the changer and the plug. Now as you can see here, I've got my red and black wire and my track, which you have to supply yourself. And I'm just going to unravel the wire from around my track. And you might also hear my clock in the background because it is pretty quiet today. But we've got here the track, which probably will make itself float. as you can see, it's not really staying on the table. But once the engine's on the track, it will stay down. But anyway, you've got at the end of your wire, you should have 2 strands of copper coming out of each end of the wire. And that's pretty self-explanatory as to which side they each go. And to get your wire into these little knobs, you just twist to the left. Actually, I'm more twisting to the right. Depends which way you look at it, but then you will notice there's 2 little holes in between the 2 red sections and in between the two black sections, which is where you slip your copper strands into the address changer, which I will do off camera because it's just a bit easier. And then once you've got your copper strands in between the 2 sections, you want to go ahead and twist these sections down so that they're almost pinching the copper strands in between the 2 sections. Now I stress the word almost because if you apply too much pressure, then you might cut off the current, and that's not what we want to happen. But you should have it so that the 2 sections of wire are at least snug into the 2 knobs. Now we've got one more thing to do. We've got to get some power. And I just realized my power cord may not be long enough, but we will certainly find out. Now you want to plug it in first to an outlet, and then plug the end into the address changer, which goes right here. It says power. And then we should get some display. It will say like U110 and then a series of zeros, and they aren't actually going like that. That's just the camera. They're more like that. I guess up close it just shows them a little funny. But anyway, we've got our 4 zeros. And then we also have the other end of the wires plugged into the track. And the power cord is not quite long enough, so I'm just going to move everything back a little, and I'll be back in one moment. Alright, so that's a little bit better. And now we've just got to put our engine on the track. Make sure the track stays down. And of course make sure at least 5 of the axles are on the track. This track is a little short for 6-axle engines, but we'll have to make it work. Okay, so now that we've got the engine on the track, what we're going to do on the address changer is you've got a read track button up in the top right. And you're just going to hit that once, maybe twice. And then you should get this series of dashes and a flashing green light on the address changer. And that means it's reading the track. So it will do this for a little bit until it gets an address from the track, which in this case should be 03. And the dashes might go this way and that way, and it says none, which would mean unsuccessful. So I'm just going to make sure that all the wheels are on the track. Alright guys, so that about wraps up the review. And I got the bell stuck again. Alright, so anyway, that about wraps up the review. And first of all, thank you for watching. And second, here's a shout out to Trainland for their great prices. However, I have heard that there have been issues with products from Trainland, and along with mine, which has been acting a little bit funky, but my highest assumption is I just have to adapt to the way MTH engines are set up. So I highly doubt it's common for Trainland products to have problems, but there's always that possibility. And I'm not going to discriminate Trainland, because I'm sure anyone's gotten an engine from anywhere that has probably had one problem. So anyway, shout out to Trainland and Silver City Hobby for the great prices. And also a roster update. I recently acquired 4 new Conrail engines from the club, 2 are DCC and 2 are dummies. So you will probably notice a few more Conrail engines in the upcoming videos. And there will also be a next Monday video. I'll have my 2 CSX engines on the club layout going around pulling trains. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.